In this video, we're going to take a look at a green ink by KWZ Grass Green. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. Also down in the description is a link to all of the color playlists here on the channel. I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. Let's get into the first writing sample done on 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is just a tad lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 15 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show minor color variation, but we're really not getting it in the writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, all of the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then, an Aurora Optima with a broad nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. Now let's look at the second writing sample done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is just about the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 14 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine and the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 22 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show no color variation. We didn't expect it, we didn't get it. And the smear test, you probably couldn't recover it if you smeared while you were writing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this green and blue really push their way up this filter paper. Now the blue is all gathered right at the top. The one on the right is let dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked in the water. And we see that the green is moving much slower, really leaving a little bit constantly as it moves up. But it doesn't give me the feeling that it's going to be resistant in any way. The next writing sample is on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. The medium is a little bit darker than what we have with the other two with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 16 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show no color variation because there is none, and the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is some blowout and there is some woolliness that occurs. I wouldn't use it in a note-taking situation. However, all of the information is preserved there, so you could. Water is reactivating and lifting it, and on the top edge of it, you start seeing some of the white of the paper coming through. It only took water to get this out of my pen. Pen Flush does everything that water does and works a little bit faster. The 1/3 bleach solution, you're not going to need it, but it does completely obliterate this ink. The next writing sample is done on life paper. We have no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 7 seconds to dry. Medium is just a tad darker than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine actually shows a little bit of color variation, but it's not really there. The medium shows none and we had none, and the smear test you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity was 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. KWZ's Grass Green has a viscosity of 2.31, making it normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity tests are done and all of that, there's a link to that video down in the description. Now, the next writing sample is done on Levenger paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, Moments that are a little bit darker, like the word the compared to over, but that's about it. 5 seconds to dry. Medium is a little bit darker than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shading, 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show a little color variation in the extra fine, and there is from word to word sometimes. The medium shows none, and there's none. And the smear test, you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. KWZ's Grass Green has an average dry time of 15 seconds, making it normal. The last writing sample is done on Franklin Christoph paper. There's a lot of spotting, not bleeding all the way through, but spotting where the ink is getting quite deep into the paper. Now, this probably wouldn't stop most people from using the back of the page, and it doesn't touch the page underneath. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 4 seconds to dry, showing how absorbent this paper is. The medium is a little bit darker than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade, and 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both do show some color variation, but we're not really getting it in the writing, and the smear test you could recover if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like KWZ's Grass Green, I'd prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went with a gray ink by Diamine, one of my favorite grays, Graphite. So what do I think of KWZ's Grass Green? This is a very straightforward green with almost no shading. There's a very slight color variation depending on the pen. For those that want a more plain color, this performs very well. I like the tone just for a green. I expect shading. So what nib and pen will give the best writing experience with this ink? This is a very straightforward and boring, predictable green. And remember, boring is a good thing because it's predictable. It's beautiful for that. I think you can put this into any pen and really get the same experience regardless. I hope you got something out of this video, and in the next video, we're going to take a look at Roher and Klinger's Cassia.